Hey, Chris, over at Serious Land Capital Vacant Land Funding Partner. Today, I just wanted to give more of a state of the market as well as our own portfolio. There's been a lot of activity over this last week, both on the acquisition and dispo perspective here. I know I've commented back and forth, and you have to be living under a rock not to, I've heard a number of the various macro uncertainty indicators, to put it lightly. Assuming you live in the U.S. and effect on things globally too. A lot of trepidation. People aren't sure where to turn. Nevertheless, we've been in worse situations in the past. If you've had any market exposure or involvement in various industries over the past few decades. The key is to stay focused and adjust as needed here. But nevertheless, we are still heads down and, keyed in on what has been working for us and is still continuing to work from us, even amidst the uncertainty here. I think it can serve as a bit of a reminder, those of us who've been in land for 5+ years now at this point, close to when we were getting involved in this. This was right after COVID hit, March, April of 2020. I know you have to put your mind back to that period of time, but just that to me was worse. The markets were tanking way worse across multiple industries. Everything was shutting down. It's it seems like such a crazy time and definitely felt more uncertain than it does now. But I remember as we were really starting to get into the land game then, and this is before kind of the second half of 2020 things started to take off and so forth. But those first couple months when the economy was kind of cratering and then starting to recover, we were still getting 2x offers on land routinely. I mean, they were cheaper properties. We were a bit newer in the game, but that was kind of the first indication. Wow, everything else seems to be shutting down. All these other businesses struggling. I mean, my gosh, if you were a restaurant owner back then, just how bad things were. Whereas in the land game, there was still an active market amidst all that uncertainty. So, just a reminder that cycles happen, and as long as you stay focused and continue to pursue solid assets, it's not like the entire economy goes to zero. So that's what we're finding now. We had cleaned out a lot of our portfolio after the end of the year, and have been acquiring more, especially some larger assets. So I think I've commented on a couple of these. I'll just give a few quick bullet points. We had this lakefront property in northern Georgia that we had bought maybe around August of last year, and it just the whole local market, pretty much right after we bought it, just closed off entirely. I mean, homes weren't moving, no land was moving. We went through a few price cuts, but we were just cutting into a vacuum. And ultimately, we're like, okay, by the end of December, heading into winter time here, if we really haven't gotten any hits yet, let's just take our listing down. We anticipate there's some seasonality here. It's maybe, there's some, permanent home buyers out there, but it could be a bit more of a vacation lot. Let's just put it up in spring, because that's what seemed to be a hotter market the previous year as well. So we decided to relist first week of March, and we got activity right away. I think there was at least 3 or 4 site visits with a lot of questions being asked about the property. And we're like, okay, this is definitely solid. Plus there was another lakefront lot that had moved or went under contract just north of ours, near identical lot, but it was even inferior to ours at a pretty premium price point. And we were utilizing the same realtor, so had some inside info there. And then, within a week of relisting the property, still at double of what we had bought it at. And we did go under contract. It's a little bit of a trickier situation. The buyer was trying to utilize initially they wanted to owner finance, and then they weren't able to do third-party finance, and then they tried to do a HELOC so they could just close cash. That ended up not working out, and so now we're trying to do an owner finance situation again. As funders, I'm always looking to exit notes, so we were already lining up a note buyer, so we can just reverse engineer the terms, and we also bumped, the price that we had previously agreed upon from a cash perspective to account for the 20% discount we'd have to eat for a note sale. I know I'm kind of speaking quickly through this. I'll do another podcast that kind of breaks down that whole process on how we work through owner finance type deals and how to exit them. But just giving you an idea, okay, we can be a little bit more creative here, and it seems like we're still going to be able to exit that one effectively. So, this has all been happening within the last week or so. There was another property in Tennessee, middle of Tennessee, that we had bought toward the end of last year in 2024. Wasn't getting any hits. We had bought it and I thought it was kind of higher variance. We bought it at like roughly 30,000, listed at 70. I thought maybe exiting around 60 was going to be likely, but I wasn't positive. At some of those lower price points, and that's low for us, like sub 50K purchase price, we might be willing to take a little bit more risk on it. It's not that much capital allocation, and we might accept a bit more variance. That was the case for this lot, and thought it may exit around 60, plus or minus K, maybe 15K worst case. But we weren't getting any site visits for the first couple months of the year. Cut down to 65 to 60, and then just earlier this week cut it down to 55, and almost immediately got a couple calls, one site visit. We even got a cash offer just earlier today, but then we had a sabotaging neighbor who told the presumptive buyer that it wasn't buildable, which is just completely false. But either way, they got scared off and backed off the offer. It's unfortunate. It was going to be a quick cash close, full price. But at least we found the market in terms of pricing. That's like another good indicator. And again, this is amidst kind of a crazy macro at the moment. And then we have kind of our prize deal, that 400K purchase I remarked on multiple times, just south of Dallas, 50 acres, prime parcel for development. And also is split up into 3 child parcels, roughly 16.5 acres each. The parent parcel has actually gotten more activity. We've been averaging offer on this property like every 7 to 10 days or so, and we bought it at 8.2K per acre. 15K per acre seems to be the absolute bottom. So we did get a 15K cash offer, 15K per acre cash offer earlier this week to close in less than a month. Pretty wild, almost a 2x. I mean, this is $750,000 cash offer from a RV site developer. We wanted to bump it a little bit. We were saying, hey, if we can, there's again a lot of macro volatility. If we took this one out longer, waiting for long, like who knows what the U.S. is going to look like, a week from now, let alone 6 months from now. So you're like, hey, we're willing to take some chips off the table, especially for these higher priced properties. But can we bump this, an extra, 2K per acre? If we can get up to like 17K per acre, we'll be feeling really good. So then the net profits that both our firm as well as our land investor partner who brought us the deal, we'd each be taking home net roughly 200K cash in less than 90 days. Like, who's going to complain about that? Just an incredible return. So we're trying to work with him on that. The guy's a little cagey about moving forward. He's still doing more DD and might have to get a little bit creative. So it's right now we're trying to structure it where the 15K per acre, so roughly 750,000, would be cash, effectively a down payment, and then try to owner finance out the remaining 2K per acre, roughly another 100 grand. Though we're trying to get an extra 20% premium built on top, so that if we sell that remaining note, then we could effectively net out 17,000 per acre for the entire parcel. So that's what we're trying to work through now. Again, really good position to be in from that side. A lot of movement on the dispo side, and yeah, we've been getting a lot of others coming in for acquisitions. We actually just closed the seller side docs are coming in on Monday, but all our funds are in. So for that 32 acre, roughly $500,000 purchase inclusive of value add expenses for that central Louisiana property. I know I've remarked on a number of times on this podcast. We got all those funds in, everything signed, ready to go. So, and that one, we may already have pre-sold one of the child parcels to a next door neighbor for a very healthy profit. We will know that shortly, and I'll be sure to update you about that. But yeah, just to give you an idea of what our acquisitions are looking like, and we just closed another 3 parcels today for a $90K buy price in Tennessee as well, and have a few others that are closing imminently as well, and some others coming in. Just to give you guys an idea, I know I kind of went through these pretty quickly, but bottom line, a lot of acquisition activity still, a lot of dispo activity, especially dispo activity. That's what I really want to hammer home, that amidst all this macro vol, we're still having real activity for solid assets. Like, regardless of what the stock market is doing, like, not as many people have exposure to that as you would think. So it gets a lot of attention. But there's plenty of folks who are, still focused on, consumption-led behaviors outside of, publicly traded equities. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah, obviously we would all love more certainty. I don't know who wouldn't when it comes to the macro economy overall. But we work with what we have. So hopefully that context helps along your land journey, and looking forward to speaking with you next time. If you want funding, seriousland.capital, zero cost review of your land deals at Land Daily Diligence Facebook group, and landpricer.ai. Just got off a super long call with my engineering team. Beta invite should be going out this Monday, March 17th. Happy St. Patty's Day. Stay safe out there. Take care. Bye.